Japanese, Lesson 1, 新しい友達, New Friends, Part 3, Grammar Continued. Culture Note, 日本人の名前, Japanese names. When Japanese give their name, they say their family name first and their given name last. Middle names do not exist. When introducing themselves, they often say only their family name. Here are some typical Japanese names. For family name, there are Sato, Suzuki, Takahashi, Tanaka, Ito. And for the given name, for men, there are Takuya, Shota, Ichiro, Hiroshi, and Masahiro. And for women, there are Erika, Ai, Naomi, Yuko, and Misaki. Most Japanese names are written in kanji. For example, Tanaka is usually written as Tanaka, which means middle of the rice field. Family names are often related to the nature or geographical features. Because many kanji share the same reading, names with the same pronunciation may be written with different kanji, such as Yuko and Yuko for the feminine name Yuko. 表現ノート2, expression notes 2. あの indicates that you have some reservations about saying what you're going to say next. You may be worried about interrupting something someone is currently doing, or sounding rude and impolite for asking personal questions. For example, はいand Both はいand mean yes in response to yes-no questions. Compared to はい, is more conversational and relaxed. In more informal situations, is used. はい is also used to respond to a knock at the door or to the calling of one's name, meaning here as follows. Cannot be replaced in this case. The teacher says Smith-san, which means Mr. Smith, and the student says hai, which means here. そうですか. そうですか acknowledges that you have understood what was just said. It means, is that so? Or I see. Pronunciation of wa. The particle wa is pronounced wa, not ha. It would be written with ha. All other instances, wa are written with wa. 私の電話番号は37-8667です would mean my telephone number is 378667. There are a few exceptions, such as こんにちは, which means good afternoon, and こんばんは, which means good evening. They are usually written with こんにちは and こんばんは. Numbers. Many number words have more than one pronunciation. Refer to the table at the end of this book for a general picture. 0. or re are both commonly used. 1. 1, but pronounced as it and ippun, which means 1 minute, and isai, which means 1 year old. 2. Ni all the time. When you're reading out each digit separately, as when you're giving your phone number, it may be pronounced with a long vowel, as ni. 3 is san all the time. The part that follows may change in shape, as in sanpun instead of sanfun. 4. 4 is the most basic, but fourth year student is 4年生, and 4 o'clock is 4時. In some combinations that we will later learn, it is read as 4, as in 4月, which means April. The part that follows this number may change shape too, as in 4分. 5. 5 all the time. When read out separately, it may be pronounced with a long vowel as 5. 6. 6, but pronounced as 6 and 6分. 7. 7 is the most basic, but 7 o'clock is 7時. 8. 8, but usually pronounced as 8 and 8分 and 8歳. 9. 9 is the most basic, but 9 o'clock is 9時. 10. 10, but pronounced as 10 or じ and 10分 or 10分 and 10歳 and 10歳. Giving one's telephone number. The particle no is usually placed in between the local exchange code and the last 4 digits. Therefore, the number 012-345-6789 is 012-345-6789. Sensei. The word sensei is usually reserved for describing someone else's occupation. 私は先生です makes sense, but may sound slightly arrogant because the word sensei actually means an honorable master. If you or a member of your family are a teacher, and if you want to be really modest, you can use the word kyoshi instead. San is placed after a name as a generic title. It goes both with a given name and a family name. Children are referred to as chang, and boys in particular as kun rather than san. Professors and doctors are usually referred to with the title sensei. San and other title words are never used in reference to oneself, referring to the person you are talking to. The word for you, anata, is not very commonly used in Japanese. Instead, we use the name and a title like san and sensei to refer to the person you are talking to. Therefore, a sentence like Miss Hart, are you Swedish? Should be Hato-san wa Sweden-jin desu ka? Instead of Hato-san, anata wa Sweden-jin desu ka? Jikan, toshi, time and age. Time. The words for hours are 1 o'clock, 1ji, 2 o'clock, 2ji, 3 o'clock, 3ji, 4 o'clock, 4ji, 5 o'clock, 5ji, 6 o'clock, 6ji, 7 o'clock, 7ji, 8 o'clock, 8ji, 9 o'clock, 9ji, 10 o'clock, 10ji, 11 o'clock, 11ji, and 12 o'clock, 12ji. The words for minutes are 1 minute, 1分, 2 minute, 2分, 3 minutes, 3分, 4 minutes, 4分, 5 minutes, 5分, 6 minutes, 6分, 7 minutes, 7分, 8 minutes, 8分 or 8分, 9 minutes, 9分, and 10 minutes, 10分 or 10分. 11 minutes would be 11分, 12 minutes would be 12分, 13 minutes would be 13分, 14 minutes would be 14分, 15 minutes would be 15分, 16 minutes would be 16分, 17 minutes would be 17分, 18 minutes would be 18分 or 18分, 19 minutes would be 19分, 20 minutes would be 20分 or 20分, and 30 minutes would be 30分 or 30分. Age. 何歳ですか and おいくつですか both mean how old are you. The counter suffix 歳 is used to indicate years old. So 1 year old would be 1歳, 2 years old would be 2歳, 3 years old would be 3歳, 4 years old would be 4歳, 5 years old would be 5歳, 6 years old would be 6歳, 7-year-olds would be 7歳, 8 years old would be 8歳, 9 years old would be 9歳, 10 years old would be 10歳 or 10歳, 11 years old would be 11歳, and 20 years old would be 20歳. For 20 years old, 20歳 is usually used, although 20歳 and 20歳 can also be used. Next week would be lesson 2, 買い物, shopping, part 1 vocabulary. See you next week.